everybody, SonGoshuaku here, and welcome to my podcast review for the 2019 edition of WWE SummerSlam, plus my thoughts on the aftermaths occurring on Raw and SmackDown. But first, make sure to hit that subscribe button followed by hitting the notification bell so that way you are notified as soon as my content is released. Alright, SummerSlam is in the books, and I actually watched the pre-show, or most of it, I should say, for this show. So starting off with the first match for the Cruiserweight Championship match, Oney Lorcan versus Drew Gulak. I don't keep up with 205 Live, but I do watch their pre-show championship matches for these big shows. Oney Lorcan, of course, I am familiar with from NXT. Him and Drew Gulak had a hard-hitting match, but not necessarily one that I would say is what you would come to expect of the high-flying Cruiserweight action. But Drew Gulak picked up the win, as I felt he should. Looks like he's doing a great job with from what I've seen, from what he used to be back when he was with Enzo. And then moving on to the next match, you had Apollo Crews versus Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy, of course, was involved with the whole segment of ending on SmackDown, where he mentioned Eric Rowan was the one he saw in terms of Roman Reigns, all these attempted murders, I should say, against Roman Reigns. It was interesting to see Apollo Crews and Buddy Murphy on the pre-show. I'm not sure why they didn't really have much storyline build up, but the big thing in this match, it was okay, pretty nice high-flying action stuff as you would come to expect of these two. But you had Eric Rowan coming out and beating down Buddy Murphy, and saying, you know, keep my name out your mouth, pretty much. So that was pretty cool. But the only thing is, they did, and this is an actual criticism I have of the show and Raw and SmackDown as well, is that they kept, or at least Raw in this show, they kept playing over and over the Roman Reigns attempted murder segments, and you don't get they didn't advance the storyline at all until SmackDown, which we did see, and of course, I thought, actually, Buddy Murphy had a great match on SmackDown with Roman Reigns, and I would have preferred it to be here on SummerSlam, and then, of course, Roman wins, and then after that, Buddy Murphy's beaten up again in the locker room, where he's basically, it looks like, is forced into saying that it wasn't Rowan, trying to make it seem like they lied. So we'll see where the storyline with Rowan and Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan's all going, and see what happens from there. It was interesting that they did not put these guys on the main show for SummerSlam. That's like something that completely shocked me going into it. They even put Roman on the actual promotional poster, but we didn't get anything from that. And I don't know if it was after this, but there was a segment with Elias, basically doing more of the sports references, which I stated in my NXT would go way over my head for the most part, because I don't follow sports outside of MMA and professional wrestling when it comes to sports entertainment. But we did get a cool surprise from Edge interrupting Elias, and he hit a spear. This is the first time we saw Edge hit a spear since, I think, 2011, when he retired, so it was cool. I heard that there was a lot of convincing they had to do in order to get Edge physical, but it looked like a safe spear, nothing that would take his bad neck out of alignment or whatever, anything like that. So it was really cool to see Edge get a monstrous pop, and it was great to see him do a spear after so long. So this would have been a great way, I thought, to open SummerSlam. Would have been a really nice hot segment and everything. Next up, we had the Women's Tag Team Championship match. Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross defending the title against the Iconics. And shout out to Alexa Bliss with the awesome Buzz Lightyear inspired attire. For those who don't know, Toy Story is my all-time favorite Disney franchise and everything. It's actually what got me into wanting to become an artist, which eventually is what I transitioned into a filmmaker. So I always have a special place in my heart for Toy Story. So seeing it get some love from Alexa Bliss on this was awesome. It would have been even greater if Nikki Cross had cosplayed Woody or something like that. So, but it's all good though. Anyways, they of course defeat the Iconics, and it's just a shame that the Iconics were booked in the matter. They just really never got a chance to get booked seriously as the Women's Tag Team Champions. But hopefully Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss are utilized more and look like, based on Monday Night Raw, where they defeated the Kabuki Warriors, they are getting more utilized as women's champion. So, and I'm happy. I like Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I'm really glad to see her getting some good spotlight shine on the main roster. And that being said, guys, let's move on to the main show, the submission match for the Raw Women's Championship, Becky Lynch versus Natalya. Okay, so this was one of my favorite matches of the night, a complete, great, solid submission match between Becky and Natalya. Both were exchanging a lot of great submissions, great technical wrestling here, just definitely a really great start. What was very surprising about this was that Natty and Becky, if not maybe more so Becky, got a bigger reaction even though it's Natalya's home country, and it's very telling. I feel if you just do more, if WWE booked Natty in a way that would make the fans and audience care more about her, then we would get a more bigger reaction in Canada. But it just shows you how popular Becky Lynch has been with the way they have utilized her. But yeah, like I said, this was a great match. I thought Natalya absolutely, once again, having two great matches, one with Naomi and now with Becky Lynch in this. The crowd was popping loud, especially. We were really into it when Natty would get the sharpshooter on and Becky would try to do the disarm her. They even exchanged submission holds. But in the end, Becky Lynch, of course, gets Natty to tap out. And I like that Natty actually was in the hold for a long time before tapping out. I love when they do that. I just could not stand the way they kept having Lacey Evans tap out like literally in like half a second to Becky. And it was refreshing to have a different match. And I really enjoyed this way better than the matches Becky had with Lacey Evans. And as we saw on Monday Night Raw, Sasha Banks returned, removing the purple for the blue and completely taking it out on Natalya and Becky Lynch coming out. And but Becky just went Sasha went ferocious on Becky with the steel chair. It's amazing to think that Natalya, I'm getting my names mixed up here, Sasha, I am all over the place, that Sasha has been on the main roster for I think she debuted in 2015, was it? Probably 2015, yeah, 16, 17, 18, 19, yeah, 4 years, and we're just now getting a heel turn for Sasha Banks. So I'm definitely looking forward to Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch. Out of all the horsewomen rivalry matches they've had on the main roster, Sasha and Becky Lynch is something that they haven't visited a lot. So I'm looking forward. I love their NXT match several years ago, and I'm looking forward to seeing this continue in their rivalry and continue on the main roster. And now we have Goldberg versus Dolph Ziggler. Now on the No DQ Predictions League, which I'm a part of, I said this match was going to be about 90 seconds, and I came to close. It was about 1 minute and 46 seconds, and man, Goldberg, it started off, thankfully when Goldberg did the entrance, he did not bang his head against the door. I'm glad he did that. He didn't do that. And then he came on out and did his whole shtick and everything. This is the first time seeing him at SummerSlam since 2003, and basically Dolph Ziggler got him in the first few seconds of the match with 2 super kicks, but of course Goldberg lays him out with a devastating spear, which Ziggler sold like $1 billion. And then after that, he hit the jackhammer. The jackhammer looked awesome. If you grew up watching Goldberg in 1997, 1998, that time period of the Monday Night Wars, then this is the Goldberg you remember. The Goldberg looked a lot better here than he did in the Saudi Arabia match that he had back the match he had with Undertaker in Saudi Arabia. So this was awesome. Goldberg gets redemption. Ziggler just got destroyed here, but I guess in 2019 with the way they've utilized Ziggler, it is what it is, and I think Ziggler signed on the deals. He's losing a lot of matches, but hey, he's getting paid good money, and at the end of this match, Ziggler really it just started looking embarrassing. He kept coming out, taunting Goldberg. Goldberg came out, speared him. He taunted Goldberg again. Goldberg came out and speared him. I thought it would have been a great time to bring Shawn Michaels out in his attire and just tease a match, but just do the sweet chin music. But moving on to the next match, it's for the United States Championship. Ricochet versus the champion AJ Styles, accompanied by the OC. So Ricochet came out out with a Nightwing-inspired gear, similar to how Alexa Bliss, of course, came out with Buzz Lightyear-inspired gear. So that was really cool. AJ Styles, Ricochet, I've actually enjoyed their Monday Night Raw matches very much, so I was expecting here they're going to take it up because it's one of the big 4 pay-per-views of the year, and early on in this match, AJ Styles goes for the leg, which means Ricochet has to sell the leg, meaning Ricochet, to sell the match, can't do all the really cool effortlessly thing, even though he did do some cool spots on one leg, but this slowed the pace of the match down tremendously, and we got what I felt was an underwhelming match. Now, the ending was cool with AJ Styles catching Ricochet going for like a jumping Hurricane Rana, and AJ caught him and turned it into a Styles clash, and that was it. But man, this was disappointing. Like, how in the world were their Monday Night Raw matches better than this? I don't know who the producer was of this match and setting this match up to where, yeah, Ricochet's gonna have to sell the leg and then slow down the pace of the match. Like, I know logically it makes sense. Yeah, destroy Ricochet's leg so that way he keeps him from his high-flying offense. But this is AJ freaking Styles and Rick freaking Shay. This is, people want to see high-flying action mixed with great technical wrestling between these two. This is SummerSlam. This is supposed to be the blow-off to their match. So, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, this match, honestly, was disappointing. I found it. I like their Monday Night Raw matches much better, but AJ Styles winning the championship, I predicted correctly. I actually predicted, I think, I did. I predicted the whole show correctly. That's why I won the No DQ Predictions Championship for SummerSlam. Yeah, I figured that the OC and AJ Styles were going to continue to reign as the U.S. and Tag Champions, respectively. Moving on to the SmackDown Women's Championship match, Bayley versus Ember Moon. Now, the interesting thing about this match, if I remember correctly, Ember Moon debuted in NXT around the time that Bayley, I believe, got the call up to the main roster. So until now, I believe their paths never crossed. However, I wasn't really a big fan of how they booked Ember Moon going into this match. They didn't really book her strong at all, and unfortunately this match just didn't do it for me. It was one of those, it was okay, but I felt like this match really never kicked into the high gear that I was expecting it would be, so it was kind of a little underwhelming of a match. I don't even think we got to see one Eclipse, which logically would make sense because you want to land your finisher before your opponent does, but I did enjoy the finish because Bayley jumping up, and I thought Ember Moon, if there's been one big thing that I really would say has been really cool about this whole build up, is Ember Moon, I feel, is one of the best at selling the Bayley to the belly to belly Bayley, right? Bayley to belly, the belly suplex that she does. I mean, the way she jumps up and to really sell that, it was tremendous. And they did the cool one where it was off the top rope here. Hopefully Ember Moon, I actually thought she had a much better match with Charlotte, to be honest. The match with Charlotte on SmackDown afterwards was much better. But hopefully Ember Moon will get her time to shine eventually in the main event. But yeah, I just wish this match was a little bit better than what I thought it would be. So yeah, it's a little unfortunate there. And then next we had Kevin Owens taking on the best in the world, Shane McMahon! All right, okay, enough of that, right? I just wanted to see how long I could possibly hold that without running out of breath. But anyway, all right, Kevin Owens, Shane McMahon. I liked their Hell in a Cell match better because this one right here was Shenanigans City, and yeah, Shane's the heel, but it was just really a bunch of shenanigans of Elias being the special enforcer, and eventually all boils up to when the referee's not looking. Shane McMahon, after Kevin Owens, of course, takes out Elias, Kevin Owens kicks Shane McMahon right in the balls, the McMahon jewels, and then hits the stunner for the 1, 2, 3. Shane McMahon, I still stand by, one of the great greatest sellers of the Stone Cold Stunner, but now I guess it's the KO Stunner. But yeah, and I see Shane, apparently KO has a new shirt, Owens Stun, and then yeah, I guess this storyline is continuing based on what we saw on SmackDown, as I'm recording this after SmackDown just went off the air, and man, didn't make any sense at all. I mean, if you're Shane McMahon, why are you just now fining Kevin Owens? I mean, think about it. Why didn't you fine him when he put his hands on you? Why 2 years ago did Shane not fine KO for freaking headbutting the chairman of the board? You know, it'd be nice to get some of those continuity or just consistencies in the storyline. It just feels like this whole story is like, and then having KO just being completely upset that Shane is fining him $100,000 and going to his office like, why? What is this? You know, it just really felt kind of like they don't know what to do to keep the storyline going. So yeah, I wasn't a fan of that. But glad KO got the big moment here. All right, next up comes what I really feel is a toss-up between the best match of the night, between this and the main event, and that's Trish Stratus versus Charlotte Flair. I think it's so cool that we are seeing the women get that cool generation match. Yeah, it didn't have the type of feel that Hogan and Rock had back in like 2002, but I thought it was still really cool to take Charlotte, one of the best of this era, Trish Stratus, one of the best of her era, because I was always a Lita and Molly Holly guy, but I did eventually come to appreciate just how amazing Trish Stratus improved in the ring to become one of the all-time greats, and you saw that here in this match. Now, unfortunately, the crowd heat was a little dead for this match, and some parts of the match were really slow towards the beginning half because they kept doing a lot where Charlotte was mostly in control, and Trish had to do a lot of selling. I would have cut some of that out of this match, or at least have it be a little bit more of an even match. Yeah, you may shorten the time down of the match a little bit to make it more even, but after that phase got over in the match, and this match really got going, and it went back and forth, man, this match was excellent. Trish Stratus at, I think she's like 40, 41, 42. She's in her early 40s. I don't remember her exact age, but for her to be in her early 40s, a mother, and not being able to do, not doing this on a consistent basis, she went in there and really proved why she is, earned her place as the Hall of Fame, as a Hall of Famer. And it made sense, you know, for Trish Stratus to get in that ring and taking on a much more stronger and younger athlete in Charlotte Flair. Of course, Charlotte's going to dominate her, but eventually she was able to get back into her experience level and really take the fight to Charlotte, and Trish show why she is one of the all-time greats. This was back and forth. This is excellent. Just great stuff. I can't praise the match enough. Definitely go out of your way to see it if you're only going to watch a few matches on here. I mean, it was just great. The crowd really got into it towards the end. Trish hit her signature moves. Charlotte hit her signature moves. And in the end, though, Charlotte, oh yeah, there was a cool part where Trish put Charlotte in the figure 8. I thought that was awesome. And she did the bridge. That's the first time we ever seen that done to Charlotte. But of course, Charlotte gets the figure 8 on Trish Stratus, and she held on as long as she could and taps out to lose to Charlotte. And I gotta admit here, Charlotte Flair, definitely should have been going over. It's 2019. Trish Stratus has already had her moment. As I stated just a few moments ago, she is a Hall of Famer, so it made sense for Trish Stratus to come here and do the JOB for the current established talent. Yes, Charlotte is established, but definitely this is cool. Just like definitely The Rock should have definitely done the job for Cena at WrestleMania 29, even though I was okay with WrestleMania 28, but that's a different story. But yeah, I thought this was awesome, and this is Trish Stratus' last match. It was an excellent match to go out on. Can't say enough great things about this match. Unfortunately, that's not how I feel about this match. The WWE Championship, Kofi Kingston versus Randy Orton. Now, for those of you that didn't see my predictions video on the No DQ YouTube channel, I said this match felt like the opposite of what WWE usually does when it comes to their storylines with characters that have an established history. And by that I mean that often they will take the recent history in favor of the distance history. Well, I said in this storyline, it's the opposite. They took the distance history and completely forgot about the recent history. While it is really cool to see WWE revisiting Randy Orton and Kofi Kingston's feud from 2009 and playing it into this story, I was not a fan that they totally ignored the recent history, which is that Kofi pretty much got his win. He got his revenge. He beat Kofi Kingston in a gauntlet match earlier this year, and a match after he had several hard-fought victories. This means a full 100% Randy Orton still was not able to beat a Kofi Kingston. It was so exhausted to probably about 20%. And then I think he got the Trouble in Paradise on him and yelled stupid, stupid, stupid back at him. To me, there's no greater revenge than that. The fact that Randy Orton basically couldn't beat a broken down, beaten up Kofi Kingston when when Orton himself was 100% fresh. This was never brought up in the storyline, and this was not even brought up on SmackDown afterwards when Randy said that Kofi couldn't beat him. And here's my thing with this match. It was okay, but the finish sucked. The finish was whack, and you had the entire crowd yelling BS over and over and over, and I'm talking about a unanimous. It felt like every single man, woman, and child in that ring was yelling BS, because a double count out, really? And like I said, the match was okay, but I didn't see it as a classic or anything. So when you have this, it should have simply been Kofi Kingston gets the victory, 1, 2, 3 on Randy Orton and moves on to a next challenger. This ending is really kind of just threw the whole match away from me, honestly. I was not a fan of this ending. Man, I was not a fan of this ending, and this is coming from a guy who actually liked the Kurt Angle and Stone Cold Steve Austin match from SummerSlam 2001 that ended in a DQ, but that kind of was building up towards the story. It was adding on to the story. This did very little, because Randy Orton, how the DQ occurred, the double countout, occurred, was Randy Orton basically just stared at Kofi's kids and his wife, but didn't look like he was trying to threaten them. He didn't like flip them off or anything. So it just kind of fell flat. It fell flat. That's the best way to put it. It fell flat. So this is gonna continue, and I didn't really want to see this continue because I felt like Kofi already got the big vindication victory over Randy in that gauntlet match from earlier this year. But I guess they like to do these things where they put their champions in these their long-term champions in these matches that last like 2 or 3 months instead of going from challenger to next challenger to next challenger. So it is what it is there. Now, if you're like me, where you wanted the taste of the finish of that match to be wiped away from your mouth, WWE served up a nice cold drink of something that was really great. I'm talking about Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt, the Fiend. There was a lot of speculation of what in the world is it going to be, like his entrance. Is he going to wrestle with the mask? And man, the entrance was amazing. So Bray Wyatt's old theme song was remixed by the same band that did Aleister Black's theme song. So I really liked that they kept the same lyrics, but this time it was more menacing and ominous, and just the presentation was tremendous. Bray Wyatt coming out with a new lantern, the lantern representing a severed head of what his old face used to look like, and hair and everything, and this was tremendous. And Finn Balor, the way he sold it, he had this look on his face of like, WTF am I getting myself in here? He was completely taken off his game, and Bray Wyatt was dominant. He was all over this match. Finn Balor did get a couple of offensive moves in, and I know some people felt that took away, but honestly, I thought it was great. It showed more of why, Finn Balor can throw his best moves. I wouldn't even mind if they had him hit the coup de grace to have the Fiend kick out at 1. Or maybe even kick out before the referee can land the first count in. That puts him over as a big deal. Bray Wyatt's presentation was so great in this match that he did a really old school wrestling maneuver where he looked like he cranked the neck, and the crowd was like, oh, I mean, it was just tremendous. Very little had to be done here with Bray Wyatt. He made subtle changes. And another thing that I really liked about Bray Wyatt in this match that I don't feel like I see enough out of Finn Balor when he's this demon persona is it just feels like it's Finn Balor in the ring with demon paint with makeup on to resemble him being a demon. And he added the tongue hanging out, but it's not like it's more aggressive or anything. Bray Wyatt stayed with his traditional moves that he's been using, but he did them and delivered them in a different way that made it look like, okay, we are seeing a new Bray Wyatt. And even he was conflicted at points, constantly looking towards his fist about heel or heel and or hurt and everything. I love it. The presentation of this was tremendous. It felt so much different than anything else on the WWE product. And this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is what I call sports entertainment. Man, you know, I grew up with characters like The Undertaker, Mankind, and Kane as a kid, so this definitely took me back. And he did the Sister Abigail, and I figured Bray could wrestle in the mask because there's a large opening towards where the mouth part of the mask is, so he has plenty of room to breathe during his matches. That was a problem with Kane's mask, where it was like really thin, and so he couldn't get much air out when the matches were getting long. But yeah, this was excellent, and I would love it if Finn Balor comes back as the Demon and they focus this on as the Demon versus the Fiend. I honestly wouldn't even mind if they revisit his feud with The Undertaker and finally have him go over as the Fiend. That would be excellent. But yeah, I'm digging this new persona. Finn Balor, Bray Wyatt is this new Fiend character. Excellent, and more excellent. We can only hope that WWE's booking of him will be excellent, because Bray Wyatt shocking us with tremendous presentation as a character and performer has never been the issue. It's WWE giving him meaningful victories has always been the issue, and I just hope this time they get it right with Bray Wyatt. And now we come to the main event for the WWE Universal Championship. Brock Lesnar defending the championship against Seth Rollins. Now, honestly, I did not want to see this match. I felt like we were done. I was never really that impressed with neither of their two matches on pay-per-view previously, and I'm like, let's just get it over with. But I felt like Seth Rollins definitely had to win this match, and boy, was I blown away. This was so much better than their Battleground 2015 match and their WrestleMania 26 match. This was not just the best match of Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar's of the trilogy they've had in terms of matches, actual matches, but this was one of Brock Lesnar's best matches since he's returned in WWE. This was going to be one of Brock Lesnar's classics. This match was awesome. That's why I said I might put this main event as the best match of the night, a little bit even over Charlotte and Trish Stratus. The only problem with this match, I would say, is that there was a little bit of a logic issue. Like, if Brock Lesnar beat Seth Rollins up so bad to the point his ribs are all just messed up, there's no reason that Seth Rollins would even be able to get as much offense on Brock Lesnar. But if you take that away and you just look at it for the story of the underdog doing everything he can to survive against the Beast, this match was awesome. The Suplex City. You think this was not a Suplex City spam fest, because Seth Rollins kept reversing it into a backflip, something new, something fresh we haven't seen in these matches with Brock Lesnar. But of course he would get his suplexes in, but Seth Rollins with super kicks and knees kept finding ways to really come back at Lesnar, and he even got the curb stomp on Lesnar, and Lesnar kept kicking out, and it was just really awesome. We got to see this awesome part where Brock Lesnar picks up Seth Rollins by his bandages and swings him around like Cesaro does. It crazy visual outside of the ring. Brock did the F5 into the turnbuckle post, but Seth Rollins kept coming back and forth, being resistance as all heck. He even broke out a frog splash from the top rope all the way to the announcer's table, crashing it. The crowd was really getting into it because a lot of people really weren't caring as much about Seth Rollins. you know, is probably with a lot of his comments he's made on social media, but boy, were they getting into the match. I was on the edge of my seat in this match because you just didn't know, were this going to be the same old, where they keep the title on Brock Lesnar and he disappears until the next big show, or were they actually going to have Seth Rollins win? And if he does win, would it be clean? And when this match got back into the ring, Seth Rollins eventually nails the curb stomp again for like a third time, and 100% clean, defeats Brock Lesnar. I got out of my chair and I was like, yes, why did this take so long? Think about it. Brock Lesnar defeated The Undertaker, was it about half a decade ago at WrestleMania, and since then, this was the first time that a current star on the roster got a 100% clean victory. He lost to The Undertaker via dubious circumstances at SummerSlam 2015, and then he lost to Goldberg clean in a few seconds and at Survivor Series 2017, but of course, you know, Goldberg is already established. We're talking about, like, when is a new star gonna finally get that victory over Brock Lesnar clean? And they eventually had Roman go over at SummerSlam last year, but that was shenanigan city, honestly. But this time, and they even had Seth go over him at WrestleMania, but once again, the low blows. This is what I've been waiting to see, a current star finally getting a victory 100% clean over Brock Lesnar, and man, that's what made this match great. That's what made the celebration at the end great. The fans erupted. This was awesome. This is tremendously awesome. Speaking of awesome, I forgot to mention that Bray Wyatt match. When the whole Bray Wyatt Finn Balor segment was over, fans were chanting, "That was awesome. That was awesome. That was cool." And getting back to the main event here, this was just really well done. I love how this was done. Looks like Brock Lesnar's probably going to go over to SmackDown for the Fox move, and they'll focus on him probably going after the WWE title. I'm not sure where they're going to go with Seth Rollins, where he's going to face AJ Styles or Braun Strowman. That's a match we haven't seen, AJ and Braun, or if they're going to do a six-man challenge or six-man tag match with all the Raw titles on the line. We'll see where they end up going with that. But yeah, this was tremendous. Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins put on an excellent match, and this is what I'm talking about. You know, people who say Brock Lesnar can't go in the ring anymore and everything. This proved that Lesnar could go. And honestly, this should have been the match they had at WrestleMania. Maybe it's just one of those things where, since Brock has made his decision to stay with WWE and not go to UFC, he was willing to put more risks, you know, on the line here or something like that. I'm not sure, but this match was definitely excellent. Very great WrestleMania. It's the WrestleMania of the summer, good SummerSlam main event. Overall, SummerSlam, if you couldn't tell by my review, I thought it was a solid show. I liked it. It was solid. I wouldn't say it was great because there were some matches that disappointed, but the matches that did hit a home run, boy, did they hit a home run. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, that was probably my match of the night. I really enjoyed overall the Natty and Becky Lynch submission match. Really enjoyed the Trish and Charlotte match, and really enjoyed the main event and the spectacle of Bray Wyatt re-debuting as the Fiend. I would recommend at least those four things to watch on this show if you only have time for certain parts. So definitely. As well as Edge's return on the pre-show. That being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed my podcast review. Obviously, I must have really liked this show. I went longer than I've done over the last several months of some of these WWE pay-per-views. But yeah, go ahead, follow me on my social media platforms that you see on the screen. Make sure to subscribe by hitting the notification bell, so that way you're notified as soon as my content's released. And check out my upcoming short film, Battle of Deception. The link is right there in the video, as well as in the description, along with all the other links to my social media in the description and pinned comment below. Until next time, everyone, take care.